Hey Elliot, how's it going?
Pretty good, Josh. How about you?
It's going pretty well. Today is a special day in our household. We got the news that 311 announced a St. Louis show for later this fall. So Lori already bought tickets and she's super excited.
Nice. Where are they playing at?
They're playing at the factory out in Chesterfield.
As most music in St. Louis tends to be these days, is moving out to Chesterfield. I guess there's still some stalwarts that make it to the Loop or to Riverport, but
Yeah.
yeah, the factory.
Yep. And
Cool.
that's going to be on November 11th. So 11 is a popular number today. 311 is going to be playing on 11/11
On
and
11/11. Yeah,
and today is August 11th while we're recording this. So, yeah, that's going to be fun. We were kicking around the idea of traveling to see them either in Colorado or Arkansas at some point later this fall, but they just announced the St. Louis show. So, super excited for that. Anybody that pays any attention to us knows that we're big 311 fans and we typically see them several times per year.
see, now that it's just a hop, skip, and a jump away, maybe I'll have to make an excuse to go to a 311 concert with you guys.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah. Hang out outside of these microphone four walls.
Yeah, outside of the online get-togethers, get together in person, which is maybe a good segue to the topic that we're going to discuss today.
That's right.
Where do we go from here?
I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah, so I guess to bring our audience up to speed, we're trying to figure this thing out. We've been at this for a year now, and I talked to Elliot last week about what is it going to look like going forward. We just missed our very first Monday release in a year. We did not release a new episode, and yeah, I don't. I was telling you, I was kind of joking that back in my corporate job days, we used to have these stupid reports that we would have to send out on a cadence that was, it was an expectation, or there was a created expectation to always have this report due by beginning of end of Monday, beginning of Monday, whatever, or some point, arbitrary point throughout the week. And at one point, it just got kind of overwhelming. There was people that reported up through me that were complaining that they were spending a lot of their time creating these reports and sending them out, and they said that they never really felt like they were beneficial. So I kind of had the idea. I'm like, let's just not send them out. Go ahead and run them, and then don't send the email, and see if anybody comes back to you asking if where the report is. And when you know it, most of the time there was nobody that was coming back, upper management or whatever, that was saying, "Where's that report?" And we just kind of quietly sunset those reports, and that was kind of what I'm feeling about this podcast here, because we didn't release an episode, and I thought maybe we'll get somebody asking what happened. We didn't see a Monday release, but I haven't had any feedback yet. How about you?
I have not heard anybody reach out to me and say, "Oh no, what happened? Monday's here and gone, and where is my 9 to 5 podcast?" So I understand the phase step back into the bushes Homer reference, and I also have to cite one of my favorite movies of all time, Office Space, and your TPS reports that you just mentioned. So I also did that in my corporate career. Is my boss was asking me for weekly kind of updates or progress reports of everything that I had done for the week each Friday, and I thought that was pretty lame. So I just stopped doing it, and pretty much the same as you is didn't hear a peep out of really too much of anybody. So much so that this is this is probably really bad. Is we were at a happy hour, and my boss was talking about these progress reports, and I go, "Yeah, when was the last time that I sent one out?" And she goes, "Oh, on Friday, of course." And I was like, "No, it's been about 4 months since I've sent
Oh
one
my
out. So,
gosh. That's how much
you
she was
know,
paying attention to you.
yeah, yeah, clearly showing the worth that it was providing her. So,
Yeah, you just gave me a horrible flashback to one of my previous bosses. She wanted something very similar. It was like, at the end of the day, Friday, send me a summary of everything that you worked on throughout the week. I was like, man, talk about micromanaging. We were supposed to be professionals. We're all supposed to be adults here, and you want me to send you a summary? And I did something similar. This was whenever I was pretty new to the business world. I was in my early 20s. I'm pretty sure, and I just same thing. I just kind of like started forgetting to send it, and then it got to the point where I'm like, I don't even think she's looking at this, so I'm not even going to send it anymore. And I don't know. I think she ended up switching roles, and it was no longer an issue, but it was kind of stupid.
yep. Well, hey, I've successfully derailed us from our main point already. So, check one for the day.
So yeah, we were talking about where do we want to go from here, and I think for me, I kind of made a list of pros and cons, if you will, for keeping this podcast going. And I definitely enjoy the conversations. I think we bounce things off of each other pretty well and help each other navigate through challenges or questions that we might have regarding financial independence, retire early, or in a lot of cases just life type stuff. So I definitely enjoy that piece of it, but the back end piece of editing these podcasts and getting them out, and then our schedules don't always line up, so there's always like a little bit of pressure in the background to get the editing completed and then get it uploaded into whatever, YouTube or Spotify, wherever we're going to publish it from. And it's not a tremendous amount of time, but it's just a little bit of an aggravation from time to time. And I'm like, it's self-imposed. It's for both of us. It's just our lives are busy, or we're going in different directions, or we just can't catch up with each other on a consistent cadence. And that's totally okay. We're living our lives. So that's kind of, I guess, my first thought is that we just don't, if we continue to go forward, we just don't need to have the same level of cadence where we have a weekly release.
Yeah, and I think I would echo all your sentiments. Is really obviously we're at two different phases of our life, despite being similar in approach to retirement and things of that nature. The fact that your kids are a little bit older, mine are younger. The difference that causes kind of in our schedules day to day, at least right now, I think is a constant hurdle for us to kind of make this work. And I think obviously we both just want to be able to live our lives and not feel like, oh shoot, like I have to go edit this podcast. And to your point, like, I mean, I think the conversations that we have in the end product that we put out is something that we both enjoy, but doing it on a weekly basis is just becoming a little taxing.
Yeah. And then the topics too has been something that getting together has been a little bit of a challenge, and then just coming up with fresh topics. And what do we have necessarily to add to the conversation that hasn't already been said? And I know that there is an kind of a mindset that even though you may be covering the same exact topic, you're covering it in your own unique voice, which might find an audience that wouldn't have otherwise. And I I believe there's some truth to that, but I don't know about you, but if you look across your podcast player nowadays, there's an endless amount of personal finance or financial independence podcasts. So like what is our unique spin on the conversation, or what can we add that's fresh to maybe not only for each other, that we can talk through the things that we haven't already heard about somewhere else, but what can we provide to an audience that might be just looking for whether or not to listen to us or not.
Yeah, no, I would echo that sentiment. I mean, it's hard enough for me just as a consumer of podcasts to keep up with the few that I like to listen to on a frequent basis. So, our good buddy Doug gets a lot of my listening ears and hours, and I still try and keep up with Choose FI. You know, Mad Scientist just put out one on that I actually listened to today of, 10 years after he's been retired and kind of how he's felt. But yeah, like even just keeping up with those two or three, like it's hard enough to keep up with just the content and also feel like what is so different that I haven't heard somewhere else. I'll go out to Bigger Pockets Money and listen to a specific one or any different ones that get sent my way, on a particular topic. I'm like one of those very strange people that likes to start at episode one and listen all the way through. And so, as you might imagine, it's pretty daunting to be like, oh, wait a minute, I finished one. Now I got to go start another one that maybe they have 500 episodes. And then I'm trying to juggle all the other ones at the same time. So, purely as a consumer, I get that I don't know how high we rank on some other people's playlists, and I don't think that's particularly the reason that we do this. The reason that we do it is because we enjoy it, and it's conversations that we said that we were going to have regardless of whether or not we had zero listeners or a million listeners, right? It's just the conversations that we wanted to have. But I think there's opportunity for us to go in some different directions as well. I know that we've talked about the potential of having guests on or having solo episodes or talking with our spouses and hearing the different insights that they bring to the conversation as well. So I think while we're saying, yeah, let's ramp down the frequency, I think there's opportunity for some different conversations as well as hopefully more quality conversations.
Yeah, I like that a lot, and I think that's kind of what we're both feeling is just a little bit of a need for a change, whatever that might look like. And you mentioned those couple of things, and hopefully we'll get started on that sooner rather than later. I think it would be important for us to not lose all the momentum. I mentioned to you the other day that I was talking to our friend Gwen the other day, and she has paused her podcast since, well, for a couple of months now. And she's like, my recommendation would be not to walk away from it completely, thinking that you're going to come back because restarting is a lot harder than you might think. And that's her and her husband that are working on it together in their own home. So we have another layer of complexity in that it's, we're obviously separate families, and trying to get us together is a little bit difficult. But I did want to also mention, you were talking about having these conversations for each other, but also the fact that it is kind of humbling and interesting that we do get approximately 400 or so listens per episode. And then over time, that number continues to increase as time goes on, because I guess there's some people out there that do go back and listen to older episodes. But I think that's pretty cool. I mean, it's not nothing. It's not a huge audience, but it's not nothing. And I'm always, I guess, a little bit inspired whenever people come up to us at a local event and they're like, "Oh, I heard your last episode," or whatever it might be. And I think that, that is pretty cool that people are listening. We don't get really any feedback other than that. And that's something that I think would actually help motivate me a little bit more, is if we did get some form of feedback, whether that be just to drop us a line. We always have our email links in the show notes. Just feedback, good, bad, or indifferent. And then if there are any topics that if you've listened to us for a while, if there's anything we haven't covered that you might want our opinion on, I think that would be fun to riff on as well.
I think you're right, is like that helps us solve some of the problems that maybe we think that we're having right now is coming up with quality topics. So not only is it interaction with people that we know, or people that are obviously listening that maybe we don't know personally, but hopefully that makes it more of a community focus, right? Because Josh and I are not the kings of social media. You're not going to find us out there kind of promoting the show. Like that's not generally what we've done. But it is, yeah. I mean, it's very humbling and impactful when we do hear from people that we know or people that we don't that said, "Oh, hey, I listened to your show the other day. Like, it's super relatable because going through a very similar situation as you. Like, it's a different voice and perspective that you don't always hear out there." And like when you described earlier about, yeah, hey, it doesn't really matter that the market is quote unquote saturated, right? It's bringing your own personal voice to the space. I mean, when I heard you say that, all I could hear is I've heard Mindy Jensen say those exact words to both of us. So, yeah, I mean, it rings true. And I know, like, at our last brewery hangout, our friend Michael walked up to us and was like, "Yeah, Elliot's talking." And it's like, "Yeah, I'm right in that exact same spot in my life." And I mean, that is very inspiring to hear other people that are listening and taking something away from at least my ramblings.
And this might end up just being a season. Who knows? It could be that we go a couple months from now, as summertime. We're in the thick of it here, and you're probably getting ready for back to school. And I know we both have some travel plans in the fall. So who knows? When the winter time comes along, we might have an appetite for getting together more often, and maybe the frequency picks back up. And of course, we still need to continue the conversations about Elliot's journey to early retirement and Josh's ongoing journey through early retirement, whether or not Lori will ever stop working. Those are questions that we'll have to continue to ask and see if we ever find any answers to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could probably have a whole episode talking right now about some of the feelings that I think you said that you felt leading up to retirement, of almost this existential crisis or, bouts of depression, whatever you want to call it, of just like, what am I going to do in retirement? Like, am I like all those things that we've said, am I going to be bored? What am I going to do? Like, how am I going to spend my time? Am I going to run out of money? Like, all of these things. Yeah, there's some semblance of that has certainly run through my head in recent times, and the fact that I'm, you know, 6 7 months away from retirement. Like I don't know what timeline that started to kind of hit you, but I feel like it's hitting a little bit right now.
Was probably around about that time, maybe a little bit closer with, or maybe within a little bit shorter time frame. But I just got a text yesterday from a former coworker, and she asked, "How's retirement going?" And it was kind of interesting because I thought about it through how she, her asking me, as opposed to me, what I'm feeling and what I've gone through over the last, I've lost track, is it 16 months now? Yeah, it's the 11th. Another reason why the 11th is a significant date. I left work on April 11th, but I thought about it for a second. I'm like, man, it's been pretty dang good, and I I definitely don't have any of those. I haven't faced any of those issues that you just mentioned, even though they were on my mind at the time. Our net worth has continued to go up and to the right. Money is not something that we worry much about. And then the time issue, it's we're literally having this conversation because I'm like, Elliot, I have a lot on my plate. What can I ramp down a little bit here? So that is a non-factor as well.
Yeah, no, as I'll continue to rib you, you just went from two jobs down to one. So
I knew you were going to say that. Hey,
I'm a
I
broken record.
I am making really great progress with that house. I am just about finished with the electric, and I'll be putting things back together. And my time frame for getting it complete is the end of September. So I think I'm pretty confident, and at this moment, and I know that changes day to day and week to week, but right now I'm feeling pretty good.
Music to my ears. Maybe we'll get that round of frisbee golf in after all.
Hey, come on now. I'm available anytime you're ready. I'm available.
All right. It's on me.
Yep. Well, speaking of that, so are you saying that you're well enough from the foot injury, the surgery, that you're ready to play some activity like that?
So frisbee golf, I would say that I think I have declared myself well enough to engage in
Awesome.
such a hobby. So I went back and saw my surgeon just last week, and I feel like Pugsatoni Phil and have yet again seen my shadows. So I'm got 24 more sessions of PT that have been prescribed to me, and
Okay.
I don't know, number of different things that I need to do or explore health wise to see how I can get my foot feeling better. I'm having a steroid shot on Friday. I think I have new orthotics coming in tomorrow, and yeah, continued physical therapy. But yeah, making progress.
Awesome. That's good to hear.
Yes.
I'll mention really quick, I won't go into too much detail, but you're already laughing because you know where I'm going with this, but we've talked about it many times in previous episodes, and I just want to give a public service announcement to getting a colonoscopy.
That's right.
I went through the ordeal last week and everything came out fine. I did end up with one polyp that they removed, tested, it was benign, but my experience, I know everybody's going to handle it a little bit differently, was pretty positive. I didn't have too much of an issue drinking the juice that I was calling the colon blow. I got that down pretty easily and got cleaned out. And the only, I guess, downside, or maybe two things that I'll mention that were a little bit difficult for me is that I arrived at the location and everything was prepared beforehand, and I thought, oh well, they're just going to get me in and get me going and I'd be out of there, because they had said, oh, it's only going to take like 45 minutes. But once I checked in, then they took me back into a room, they hooked me up to an IV, and then it was like 2.5 hours later before they got to the procedure, which was pretty boring. That was just sitting there waiting. Once I went through the procedure, everything was fine. Everybody says when you're out that it's the best sleep that you'll ever have, and I think that's overrated. I mean, it literally did only take like 45 minutes or so, but I mean, I guess I've had good sleep in my life, so I don't know that I would say that was the best sleep I ever had. But I do remember when I woke up, when I came to, I had almost like a euphoric high that I was telling people that I was dreaming and what I dreamt about. I was dreaming that I was on a hike, and that I don't know why I was telling these people that. I was just kind of like in a silly state of mind, I guess. And then they called Lori to come back, and I was continued to tell her I was dreaming of this hike and we were all there and it was awesome. And the only thing I can think of is that she and I were talking about my son Caleb being in Montana, like literally right before they wheeled me back and put me under. But everything was great. We went out for a great big breakfast afterwards, and I was so hungry, and I probably ate like 3,000 calories. I ordered the biggest like amount of food that you can get from we went to Bob Evans, and because they still serve breakfast at 12:30, and then I ate some of Lori's, and it was just, I felt great. And then like after that, I started kind of like a downhill trend where I was just like groggy, and I think the anesthesia was wearing off, And it took a full 24 hours before I felt like back to normal. I was still feeling a little bit dizzy and lightheaded and things like that. But other than that, I'm glad I did it. And they recommend that I go back within like 7 to 10 years.
Well, you get your gold star, Josh.
That's
You've
right.
you've accomplished all your stated goals on the podcast. So, uh,
No, that's not true. There's one outstanding health topic that I need to cover, which was going to the dentist because I haven't gone since
oh, I
I.
thought you had gone.
No, I need to do that.
Well, you're telling me there's a chance I can still get up there with you.
Yeah, you can pull ahead.
Yeah, very good. I will say it's very exciting to hopefully be on the other side of just recovery and making progress. So I'm I'm signed up to be my daughter's assistant soccer coach here in the fall. So got an email today about a mandatory coaches meeting coming up, and yeah, so
That's exciting.
hopefully trending in the right direction.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm happy for you. I'm glad that it's feeling better for you.
Well, what else do we want to say, or is this going to be our wrap?
This is it. We're done. Until next time, whenever that might be.
Yeah, I mean, I would say more than anything, what I think we would both really appreciate is if you've enjoyed this podcast, please give us some feedback, whether that's a text message, talk to us in person, drop us an email, comment on any of our platforms saying, yeah, this shit sucks, or yeah, I hope you die. No, or something slightly more constructive than that. So until next time, Josh.
Yeah, links are down below, and maybe we'll get another episode out. We'll shoot for like maybe an every other week cadence or something like that for the time being.
Sounds great. See you
All
then.
right. Yep. See ya, Elliot.